Hey everyone, welcome back to the Retro Reef. So the game room tour is finally done. Definitely a little bit of a longer one, so feel free to skip around when needed. Also, thank you for being a little patient with the audio. So I actually used a GoPro to record this versus with my phone because I'm having issues right now transporting videos from my iPhone over. So I actually had my brother go and record on a GoPro, so the audio isn't perfect, but thank you so much for understanding and bearing with me from that front. I try to break up the video into various sections, so feel free to jump around. The first one's like a 30-second summary, kind of just running through the game room pretty quickly, so feel free to slow it down, go through and watch that. The second video is definitely the longer piece, and that's more in detail going through various games, consoles, and some of my experiences and favorites. So feel free to jump around there as needed. And the final section is actually going through fish that we have in our home aquariums that you see in a lot of the videos, and actually our mascot, the puffer fish. So feel free to ask any questions about games in the comments or the fish themselves. I'll be happy to answer them, and just really appreciate you being patient and enjoy the video. Thanks, guys. So this is some of my gaming collection, the start of it. This is specifically Gamecube, the Nintendo Wii, and then a Nintendo Wii U. So I have a little over 100 Nintendo Gamecube games, and it's quickly become one of my favorite consoles growing up. I did play this a lot with my brothers, so I have a lot of fond memories. But specifically, I'll never forget my first official console I owned that I didn't share. I bought my own Gamecube. So The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is one of my favorites on this console particularly. And this came with, if I can find it, the Ocarina of Time and Master Quest bundle. So this is one of my favorites here. But overall in the system, the GameCube is definitely one of my favorites, and it's one that I pick up more often. So I will play it on the Wii, but a little over 100 here. This is very sought out by collectors and can get really pricey nowadays, as you've seen online, but some of my favorite titles are here. So I just love to pick it up and play. I mean, you can't beat Double Dash, you can't beat Pokemon XD Gale Darkness, even the NFL Blitz games. These are fun, and the NHL Hits. I've recently just reviewed this as a reef rating, but I have a lot of fun playing these games. So, I mean, I could just go on and on forever between Paper Mario, 1000 Years Door, the Pikmin series. I mean, there's just so many. So this is definitely one I like to pick up and play, especially when I have friends over today. So going down to the Nintendo Wii. So the Wii, I don't have too many games here in particular, so it's interesting. Even though the Wii was so popular, it's weird. I did play a few single-player games, but I mainly spent a lot of time playing either Wii Sports with friends, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Super Sluggers is a lot of fun. So there are definitely some classics on here. There's a reason people love this console. But in particular, I have definitely a little bit less from a game perspective here, and a collection. So there's a lot of weird games out there that I know. I have, my brother at least wants me to pick up, like M&M Racing, is that what it's called?
That and the Beach Party game.
That and the Beach Party game. So we'll probably end up picking those up.
There's a trilogy of them, I think, so
we'll probably pick up the trilogy and mess around with those. But I do really enjoy the Wii, and I actually use the Wii mainly to play GameCube games now. So, but it's a great console here. The Wii U down at the bottom, the failed Nintendo system. Surprisingly, I weirdly absolutely love this more than the Wii. So the Wii U is one of my favorite consoles, actually, even over the Nintendo Wii. And I don't know why I just fell in love with some of the games on here. So I know that they had Animal Crossing Amiibo Fest, which was terrible. But they had Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land is one of my favorite multiplayer games. And you can see that from the reef rating video. Mario Kart 8 was on here originally, and here's the dog. She obviously loves the Wii U too, from what you can see. Pikmin 3 was on here, so Pikmin 3 Deluxe was a great remake and fun to play on there. Legend of Zelda, some great games. So I just have a lot of fond memories on the Wii U. And I think the thing with me with the Wii U is I also got a lot of digital games on there. That was probably the first time I really explored digital games. I'm not a big digital game fan, obviously, as a collector. but I was able to pick up some easy playing games. Like I know I have Duck Hunt on there. I believe actually it might be on 3DS, but I had the original Pokemon, so it was easy just to like pick up a game and play it. So in this next section, we have a little bit of older games, and one of my favorites as well is the Nintendo N64. But we'll start up at the top. So up at the top here, we do have a few special editions here. I know we've limited run games, Duck Hunt. That's a really fun one for me. And I also have the original Pokemon Blue on Game Boy. This was one of my favorite games that really got me into gaming. Obviously as a kid to a lot of people, but for me in particular, it definitely holds true. I actually went and remade Gen 1 and Gen 2 for N64. So that was a lot of fun. So you can actually pop it in and just emulate it right on the N64. So that's a lot of fun sometimes to pick it up and play. Down below, I have the NES games. So the NES was actually right before my time in terms of when I was playing games. My first console ever was really the N64 that I picked up in the Game Boy Color. But the NES, I actually picked up to play the original Zelda games, and I really enjoyed it. Punch-Out, Metroid, a lot of the classics you read online kind of got me hooked, and it started with the Nintendo games that, you know, first-party games today, big franchises that made me want to pick up and try the NES. I do really enjoy the NES, but the problem with the NES for me is I get a little bored after a little bit. They're also easier to emulate nowadays, so even though I do have these in collection and I pick them up every so often, I've kind of stopped collecting for this one. And one that I don't collect for much either is the SNES. The SNES is awesome. It's a lot of fun, but in particular, I kind of have the games that I really enjoy, and I know there are great games out there that I could pick up and add as collection and really enjoy as well, but I have Star Fox here is one of my favorites. I'm definitely gonna miss a couple of my favorites here as I go in and out, but Yoshi's Island's a great one, Super Mario World. There were just some really, really great games on this console that I picked up. The original Mario Kart, I just didn't enjoy collecting it as much as other consoles because I was a big N64 fan, and it felt a little too close, the SNES to the N64. I felt like the NES was a big jump, so I really enjoyed going back in time, picking up that NES versus the SNES. So I picked up some of my favorite titles for the SNES, played them, have a blast with those, but this is where some of my favorites are, and this is the Nintendo 64. So I could talk for days about this. Banjo-Kazooie is one of my favorites. Conker's Bad Fur Day, Diddy Kong Racing. I mean, there's just plenty of them. And I do have some N64 games up here, some loose, but I've really been trying to get them into box. So trying to get them CIB as much as possible with the manuals. But this has obviously grown in value over the past few years, so I've stopped collecting this because of that reason. But I picked up a lot of my favorites and major hitters that I wanted to pick up anyway. So Silicon Valley, Star Fox, Super Mario 64. I mean, I could just go on, and everyone's favorite, Superman 64. The worst game ever made besides E.T. So it's just, you know, it's a fun console to pick up and play every so often. You'll see I have multiple N64s. It's one of my favorites. So I love just being able to take it out of a box and play it. It's definitely, you know, brings up some old memories that I definitely appreciate and enjoy. So next we have the Nintendo Switch. This is obviously the console I've been playing the most recently. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which we could talk about a whole nother time. But the pandemic was huge for this console, and I've been having a blast going through the library. Animal Crossing during the beginning of the pandemic got me hooked on the Switch, obviously, and just being a big gamer, I was obviously going to pick it up. But there's a multitude of games here. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which obviously came from the Wii U and is still the best-selling. But I've spent a lot of time on all the Pokemon games, where I spend a lot of time. My first game ever, actually, for the Nintendo Switch was Super Bomberman R, which for me was a complete disappointment, personally. But between Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's definitely one of my favorites. My buddies and I put hours when we lived together into that game. That's a really good one to play. But I feel like the Nintendo Switch, the fact that it's so portable, makes it so enjoyable to play, as well as it makes it, it's just easy access. I can pick it up on the go. I have a couple docks throughout the house that I can go and actually just move the Switch here and there, or just pick up and play handheld. So it's really good to have that luxury. But there's a lot of great titles in here. I won't spend too much time on this because it's not retro, but this is what I've been playing the most recently. So down below here, I have Colecovision. I don't have too many games for Colecovision. Actually, growing up, my neighbor had the Colecovision, so I never owned one, so I picked one up later. But there was a few titles I wanted to play. The original Donkey Kong, I know that was also an Atari and a couple other things, but I have it and love it on the Colecovision. And then I have the Sega Dreamcast over here. So the Sega Dreamcast, again, that's a console that I kind of skipped growing up, but I definitely fallen in love with it as I've gotten older. So the Sega Dreamcast is awesome. I know there's an issue with a lot of the CD drives. So the Sega Dreamcast has some great titles. One of my favorites ever, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, is on here. Sonic Adventure, the original, is on here, which I remember playing actually at the dentist office growing up. Our dentist had a Sega Dreamcast inside one of the kiosks, and they had Sonic Adventure on there, and that got me really hooked on Sonic. Growing up as a kid, I eventually picked it up, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on Gamecube, so that's where I played it. But yeah, so that's the Sega Dreamcast for me. Down below, these are lists of old PC games. I do have a CD drive to actually hook them up to my PC, but a lot of the older ones, like the backyard sports games, sadly, you kind of have to emulate them now today, regardless, just because it's really hard. I believe they're 16-bit, which is why they won't. But Roller Coaster Tycoon, I've spent so much time on. Zoo Tycoon, Age of Empires, Pajama Sam. So there's a lot of really old games here, as well as a hip Diablo 3, which I actually really did not like this game. So surprising on my part. I thought I was really going to enjoy it, but I have this. So PC games growing up were something that I really enjoyed and played a lot. So I definitely like to have them just for nostalgia purposes. So this is my PC here, and I really don't PC game too much, so I've been doing it more for YouTube, video editing recently. But I will occasionally play Fall Guys on here on Steam, as well as I used to play a lot of League of Legends, but I stopped playing that. I played The Sims on here with a bunch of mods, Stardew Valley, all types of games. V Rising was a big one I was playing recently. I know it's still in beta, so I'm really excited to play that when that comes out. But I have stayed straight away a little bit away from PC gaming, and I think part of it is because I work on a PC all day, so I'd rather pick up and play console personally. But this is where I PC game when I do it, or YouTube video edit. I have a lot of fun knickknacks here and a lot of stuff here. But down below here, this is actually a really cool old school Nintendo crate or box. I forget the official name of it, but I have video game vinyls in there. So I have a record player on the side that I like to play sometimes, either while I'm working or gaming or something like that, just to listen to some fun soundtracks. So, and then up top here, I'll probably break down all the pictures, but I do have a picture with definitely my wife and I, and some friends and I, and a couple pictures, and cement it in actual video games, which is funny. So I have an artist who's been doing this for me here and there when my wife and I find a really good, fun game to play. So I've been trying to capture the memory in some of these pictures. So from a handheld gaming perspective, I have the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo 3DS, and the PSP and the PS Vita up here. So I liked putting them on the smaller shelves, just mainly because they don't weigh as much, and I don't put anything crazy up on these shelves. But I don't have too much in them, so they were able to fit perfectly from a collection standpoint on the shelf. So on the Nintendo DS, I had Super Mario DS. It was a Mario 64 remade for the DS, and I was a big Pokemon fan and Zelda fan. So you can see I have all the Pokemon games up there, as well as I have Animal Crossing, one of my favorites. The DS, looking back, I've noticed that I really just stuck with the franchises that I really liked. So I have the Zelda games, the Pokemon games, and Animal Crossing, some of my favorite franchises. So you can see that up there from a game standpoint, and I also have my DS Lite up there and the original Nintendo DS. So I actually haven't picked up the Nintendo DS, the original one, in quite a while, because there's so many other ways to play it nowadays, a lot of these games. I also have Guitar Hero up there, CIB. My brother actually discovered that game. We thought it would be fun, and we found it at Too Many Games, the video game convention that's local. So it was a lot of fun to pick that up and play that. It is absolutely atrocious. I don't recommend it. So up here we have the Nintendo 3DS. The Nintendo 3DS I dabbled a little more in, definitely diversified my portfolio a little bit. Obviously, there's a lot of Pokemon up there. Animal Crossing is up there, and Zelda, so the main hitters up there. But also in the 3DS, I had the Paper Mario, Mario Tennis. I hated that Paper Mario game, so just forget about that. But I really started to branch out in a few other things. I guess now taking a look at it, I didn't really branch out as much as I think. They're all big first-party Nintendo games, but I have Super Smash, Sonic, Star Fox. That was a great remake of the N64. So yeah, I guess not too much more to say about the 3DS besides it's definitely probably my favorite handheld. I don't really consider the Switch a handheld, even though, I mean, it's a hybrid, but that's probably my favorite handheld of all time, the 3DS. So Moving over to the PSP. So the PSP, I don't have too much to say about this. I actually picked this up as I gotten older. My brother had one growing up, and I never really got into the PSP for whatever reason. The disc within, like the way the games are actually made, like sketched me out for some reason. And I was too busy playing other Nintendo games that I just never really picked up a PSP. I didn't really see a need. But it's a lot of fun to play when you're older, so that's why I picked it up. I wanted to give it a shot, and I do really, really enjoy it. But I just, you know, after playing these games and dabbling with stuff here and there, I didn't finish most of them. I kind of got bored and moved on to something else. And a lot of these games are on PS2 or other consoles anyway, so there's nothing too crazy about it. The PS Vita, though, the PS Vita, as you see a lot of people talk online, the PS Vita is definitely a console that was not loved enough by Sony, which is weird because it's loved by the fans nowadays. I don't think it's sold as well, but I definitely like the Vita way more than the PSP. I don't have too many games, but Hot Shot Golf, I spent a lot of time on that. I love golf games. Killzone, Persona 4 Golden, so you can see the games up top there, but it's definitely a console that I really enjoy, and I wish I kind of dabbled more into it. But I did see there's new ways to kind of hack into it, so maybe I'll explore that. But yeah, it's a great console, especially with the OLED screen. I can't complain about it. So those are kind of my handheld games up there. So over in this corner, I have some more pictures again. So I have Fall Guys and Animal Crossing up here, which is awesome. And then I have a lot of Xbox 360s. And part of the reason is because a lot of people, when they find out I'm a collector, they'll say, hey, I have my old Xbox, do you want it? And if they don't have the red ring of death, I'll take it, and I'll kind of mess with it. So this one up here, you can see the white one, I need to clean up a little bit. That's a recent one that was handed to me. But all these are working Xbox One or Xbox 360s. And then we have the record player here. So this is where I'll listen to and put in some of the vinyls that I have. And I have all my remotes up here for the TVs that I'll get to in a minute. So not too much going on here. This is the Kegerator that I have though, and I have multiple. You can see these are all actually tap handles. So these were broken controllers that were turned into tap handles. So I'll come over here, pour a beer, and game a little bit. So when I have some friends over, we don't have to get up and move it all. It's awesome. So it's great to have this. Can't complain. And moving over here, this is down here. We'll start. This is the fish tank I have. This is temporary up here because I worry about disc rot and having a fish tank up here, especially since it's saltwater. We have 2 clownfish in here, so like I said, it's temporary. I will be moving. This is a much smaller tank, but I'll get more into the fish friends later. But this will probably only be here a little longer because I just, you know, worry about preserving video games with it. So up here, this is the final shelf I have, and you can see there's just a mix of consoles. So I got really, really big into limited edition consoles. You can see we have the PSP, the PS Vita up there, and then my 3DSs. So we have the Zelda Nintendo 3DS XL. We have the new 3DS XL. That one I actually got to mod specifically. I tried streaming years and years ago when I would do Animal Crossing, so I used that to mod it so I could, you know, go and shoot over the display to my PC so I could actually stream it. The Pikachu 3DS, I love this 3DS. I believe this was actually a gift from my brothers, if I remember correctly. Or at least they helped me get a hold of it. I can't remember specifically if it was this one or another one, but this is one of my favorites. And then I have the original. That is my favorite over there, my favorite 3DS design of all time, the black. It's a shame it's the original one because it's hard to play on nowadays, especially when you have the 3DS XLs and everything to go ahead and play a lot of those older games on anyway. So it's really, really difficult for me to pick up and play it, but I do love the design on that, and it's definitely one of my favorites. So here we have a 1-Up arcade. I actually went and modded this. I actually did this during the pandemic, so when I was stuck inside, I wanted a fun project. So all the games on here I do own physically, in case anyone does ask. That is true, but I do really enjoy this arcade 1-Up, so it's fun just to be able to pick and play it on. To be honest, I don't really play it as much as I played on the original hardware, but it's fun when I have friends over, and we will kind of hover around and either play NBA Jam, which obviously is the arcade itself. We'll play Ninja Turtles, or the other big one is Simpsons. We've been playing a lot. It's fun to play on there. But I've actually been playing some Pokemon on here too. It's just fun to pick up and play every so often and feel like you're sitting in an arcade or standing at it. So I do have some originals on here, like Donkey Kong and stuff like that. So it's fun to play on here too to get that arcade feel to it. So over here, you'll see I have My PS1, PS2, PS3, it's hard to see down here at the bottom, PS4, PS5, Xbox 360, One, and Series X. I'll tell you right now, I'm not happy with the way they do the Xbox cases now with the Series, because I just never know if it's a Series game or if it's an Xbox One game, so I try to split it up myself and have a marker in there. I also have Sega Master System games down here and Sega Genesis, as well as Atari all the way down to the bottom. So there's a lot going on over here in particular. I'll start with the PS1 games. I don't have too many games here. The PS1 in particular, it was a lot of fun from a system perspective, but I spent a lot of my time on Nintendo during this time. So I do have some fun games here. I have the Twisted Metal games, stuff like that, but I really spent in Bubsy 3D. Everyone has Bubsy 3D. But I spent a lot more time on the PS2 in particular. You should see the sticker. I actually go and take these side stickers off, but here's Ape Escape 2, definitely one of my favorites, so I'll have to take the sticker off of here. But PS2, I spent a lot more time on here, whether it was playing Ape Escape, I played a lot of the FIFA games on here, Guitar Hero, Dance Dance Revolution, NFL Street, and I laughed because this is just, I really wish they made these games still. Simpsons Hit and Run, so there's a lot of different games that I played on the PS2. The PS3, moving on to that, I actually flip-flopped a lot between PlayStation and Xbox throughout my time. So I kind of went from the PS2 to the Xbox 360 to the PS4, and now I have the PS5 and Xbox Series, but I spend more of my time on the Xbox Series X, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. But PS3, I don't really have any particular games that I really want to kind of shout out here besides God of War. I enjoyed that, but when I played that, I played a lot of like FIFA, Call of Duty. I was just starting off in college, so when I was doing that, I was playing a lot of those types of games. PS4, I've spent a lot of time on PS4. So PS4, definitely one of my favorites. And going through, I did play a lot of the sports games still, but I played a lot of VR, so Rick and Morty VR, Five Nights at Freddy's VR. Five Nights at Freddy's is one of my favorite games of all time, so playing that VR was great. Playing Gang Beast, Ratchet and Clank. Also, I believe it is Everybody Loves Golf. Everybody Loves Golf was definitely one that I played a lot on VR. I just haven't played as much VR as I would have liked to. So those are some of the games. I played Rocket League on there. I could keep going. Overwatch before it died. I used to play on there. So I just spent a lot of time on the PS4, whether it was on VR or playing like a Ratchet and Clank single player game or something like that. So moving on, next I have the original Xbox. So the original Xbox, I obviously played a lot of Halo, just like most Xbox players. Definitely one of my favorites. And I actually played Roller Coaster Tycoon on Xbox, which was not good. It's hard to play on Xbox versus playing on a PC. So, and then I moved over to the 360. That's where I played a lot of Xbox. 360, you can see there's a lot of FIFAs, a lot of Call of Duties. That's just kind of what I played when I played Xbox games. I believe I played on Xbox the Banjo-Kazooie. I believe that was the Nuts and Bolts, which I hated that game. But I also I played a lot of my 360. I played a lot of Banjo-Kazooie, the original. I had the digital version, as well as I had Sonic Adventure 2 Battle in there too. So you can see I'm playing old, rare game with Banjo, but I would say Nintendo. To me, I treated them like Nintendo games, even though they weren't. So I kind of felt like I was playing a Nintendo game on an Xbox console, even though that's not the case. So those are some of the games that I played there. Going down to the Xbox One. Xbox One, I really don't have a lot to talk about. Really, I played a lot of Ark on there. And this is when I started to get a little bit into digital games from that aspect. Xbox Series X, I played It Takes Two on there. I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys on there. I'm about to actually start and play Cuphead. I haven't played Cuphead yet, so really, really pumped. I was waiting for the physical copy to come out so my wife and I can play, so I'll be picking that up and playing that soon, so I'm really excited. Sonic Frontiers, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next games out of these systems that I'm looking to play are Cuphead, like I said. I haven't started the new God of War yet, so I'm really, really pumped to pick up and play that game. I just haven't had the time to do that, so those are probably the next two big ones I'm going to play. And down at the bottom here, I won't spend too much time. The Sega Genesis, I have some good games down there, like with the actual like Turtles in Time, with the actual CIB with the box, as well as I have Rocket Knight Adventures and Battletoads. Those are definitely some great games. But what surprised me a lot, I didn't pick up the Sega Master System until I was older. I love the Sega Master System, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. To me, it's super underrated, and I actually weirdly love it more than the Genesis. So every time I pick up the Sega Master System, I just have way more of a better time when I play it. So Alf is one that I played on there, Rampage. There's a couple games there. So I'm always looking to pick up more Sega Master System games. I just honestly haven't gotten around to it yet. So this closet is where I store all my boxes. My old setup, I actually, I'll probably show a picture of it, but if I haven't already, but I had them all displayed up higher in the room I was in before. So I wanted to take a minute to actually show you that I started in a closet. I'm not even kidding. It was just ridiculous. And it really had to do with me when I purchased my home. That was the only space I had because I had roommates at the time where I could put my games, and I had an extra closet, so I thought it was fun. Don't worry, they were not plugged in at all, so there was no overheat. It was just more fun just to hold them. But eventually I moved over to one of the rooms before I painted it. Yes, that ugly orange is there, and it is not there anymore, but I moved over to this room, and this is what I was talking about, where the consoles were all on display at the very top. And I kind of miss having that because now I'm kind of out of room. I'm out of space, so I have the boxes in here. I think of a better way to reorganize them, but they're all pretty much empty, so I don't worry too much about them crushing one another versus having them laid out and not stacked on top of each other. But I do need to figure out a better way to display these. So this is where I have a lot of consoles. I'm trying to CIB almost every console I have, and I obviously need to take a break till I get more space. So I also have an Ash costume I wore one Halloween, and then I have some DVDs down there, just normal DVDs that I like, but a lot of Pokemon and a lot of video game adaptations. So I have like Sonic down there, the original Mario movie and stuff like that. So which is terrible, never watch it, don't recommend. So this is the console portion of it. So you'll see a lot of duplicates here. The N64 is my favorite, so I have a few N64s. I think I have 5 in particular. So I have one that's actually not stacked. I have CIB in that box is the N64, but I have a couple consoles. These are custom consoles that I did. So this is a custom Wind Waker Gamecube that I absolutely love to play on. That's a fun one. This one I actually want to mod. The disc player's starting to go, so I want to try to mod it. So as an SD card in, just to make it easier to play some games and maybe put some LEDs in it. It's a fun one. So this was probably my first ever modded, like customized console. I was kind of back and forth because I don't like when people ruin consoles, but I did find this guy when he was making these. He was taking broken consoles, repairing them, and making something fun with them. And I kind of did that myself later, which I'll get to in a minute. But the N64 and GameCube are some of my favorites, so you'll see some duplicates here. So I kind of break them up and try to bring them into stations. So this is my Nintendo Switch station, at least for up here. So it's the Animal Crossing Limited Edition system, and then I have a dock downstairs in the family room, and then we have a dock in the bedroom as well. You can see over here we have the Nintendo Wii in the next section down, and the Wii U. These are definitely, I would say, when I have people over, these are the systems we're playing the most. We play Nintendo Land, we'll play Mario Party, those types of games here. So I do spend a lot of time on here. This Wii U is my favorite. So this is a limited edition Zelda one. The screen actually broke on this, so I had to get the screen replaced, but this is definitely one of my favorites here. And I love this console. I wish they did something to the actual physical console itself, but they obviously didn't do that. It's just a plain black Wii U. So going down the next section, we have my Xbox One. This is the limited edition. I believe it's Battlefield, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, I didn't play too much of the Xbox One. I picked this one up later. I did like kind of the army green to it, but there are some really kind of cooler Xbox Ones out there. I just didn't spend too much time on the Xbox One, so I kind of liked it. I found a good price for it and moved on. So down below is the Star Wars Limited Edition Xbox 360. This is the one with the cool startup noise that a lot of people like. And I know you're going to ask, why do you have 3? So I started with my original Star Wars Xbox 360, and that ended up getting the red ring of death. So later down the road, I found one at a garage sale that someone was selling for $20. They said they didn't know if it worked or not. I should have seen the red flags, but I picked it up just to see. Didn't work. Had the red ring as well. So my buddy and I actually went and tried to repair both of these. They were both failed attempts, and I've taken them to local game stores that do console repairs, and they said they're dead as well. They're done. So I don't know what to do with these. I'm maybe doing something fun like shelves. So if you have any good ideas down in the comments, please leave them because I'm looking for something to do with these. But I did pick one up actually at my local game store. They had one and they had the year warranty on it. I just had a really bad experience with 360s, even though people have given them to me in the past, like hand-me-downs. For some reason, I'm always just unlucky with the red ring. So I'm hoping this one lasts. It's running well so far, and I've just been having a blast playing this console. I just love it. So, and then down is the original Xbox. I didn't play this one too much, like I said, growing up, so I kind of play it more recently. I don't play it as often as I probably should, but just because I play a lot of the games either on the 360 or I play them digitally now. But there's my original Xbox there. So moving over here, CRT TVs. So these tube TVs are all hooked up to specific consoles here. So this one in particular is obviously the bigger screen, but the SpongeBob and the Disney one are they're a lot of fun. So, and then up here is just an older flat screen, so it's perfect for like retro gaming. It's not 4K or anything, but it's perfect for picking up, older consoles. Like the Wii U looks great on there. And like the Xbox One 360, they'll look great on here. But down here is where the magic happens when you're looking at the retro console perspective. So I have a lot of fun playing across all these. Down here is my SNES. This is my N64 that I wanted to touch on. So this one was actually one that I received and it was broken. A lot of the plastic was actually chipped on it. And you can see I didn't do the best job of repairing it, but I actually got like putty. It's like a plastic putty I didn't know existed, and went and kind of molded it as best as I could, repaired it, and the inside of it wasn't working either. So I gave it a nice scrub and kind of fixed a few parts in there and got it up and running. So that was a fun one that, since I repaired it, I kind of treated it as I wanted to, just try customizing one myself, and I haven't seen that design online, so I had a lot of fun doing that. Here's my GameCube, one of my favorites with the Game Boy player. This one I do play pretty frequently with the Sega Dreamcast down here. This is the black version. I do have the white version as well, but the black this one actually just runs better and I think it looks cooler. Spider-Man PS4, one of my favorites. I absolutely adore that console. I think the design is so cool. We have the Sega Genesis, that's the 16-bit down there. Atari, the Colecovision, if anyone hasn't seen the Colecovision before, and the NES. So we have a few extra N64s down here. You can see I'm definitely a big N64 guy. As you can see, I have the blue and the green, the jungle green down there. We have a retro VHS and DVD player. And then over here is our last section of consoles. So we have this is a really cool customized N64 that's Mario Party. This one I don't play too much. It's a fun one though. And this is my original GameCube that my brothers and I used to play. Here are some more handhelds. So my original Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and some Game Boy SPs here. I also have the Game Boy Micro back here and the original Game Boy. So definitely I like to pick up the SPs a little more. The original Game Boys I don't pick up as much, but I do want to get that little squiggly light for the original Game Boy Color to play that, because I saw that online recently. It brought back some memories, so I definitely want to try to get a hold of that. Down below we have the original PlayStation. The original PlayStation, like I said, I didn't play too much, but I'll play like Ape Escape on there, Twisted Metal, those games I'll revisit. We have my PS3, and I know this is out of order, so don't kill me, but we have our PS3 here, and then the PS2. PS3, a lot of fun. The PS2, I have been having a blast recently playing Guitar Hero. I do want to pick up Dance Dance Revolution again, just because I feel like it's a fun way to work out. So I want to see if I'm any good at it again, but there's PS2 down there, great console. And then the Sega Master System, like I said. It's interesting, when I got this one, this console looks brand new, pretty much. And you could see, like, the sticky part, you can see it's a little weird here. It actually had the original, like, sticky part on it that you peel off here. And when I went to do it, it looks like, I guess it was somewhere hot because some of it came off, but it's just like it's a perfect condition. And I absolutely love playing this. So that's a really fun console to play. All right, so let's dive into the first of two tanks. First here, we have two clownfish. One is a snowflake and one is a phantom. So clownfish are typically orange, but there's all different types of breeds and species, and these are two different ones right here. You're really not supposed to mix the two, but since the snowflake's partner kamikaze out of the tank, we had to find him a new friend, and they worked out beautiful. So these guys I've had for about 2 to 3 years. They're awesome. They're great to have in the background, and I'm excited to give them a new home out of the game room eventually, but for now they're fun to have in the background. Next, we have our big tank. This is a 75-gallon tank. This will be upgraded eventually, especially for this guy right here. And the reason we can't have the clownfish in here is because this guy, or the second guy in this tank, would definitely eat them. So this here is a porcupine pufferfish. We just call him the Puff, really. He's goofy and absolutely hilarious, and he loves the camera, as you can tell. He eats shrimp, clams, anything we kind of put in, he loves to crack through. But he is definitely a bundle of joy here. And the second guy we have here is called a Race, or a Race. I can never pronounce it, but he's a beautiful rainbow color and fits beautifully with these guys. They get along really, really well. This guy's always so curious, and everyone loves to see him when they come over, and he's just super friendly. He's kind of like a puppy. He's definitely like the puppy of a fish tank. So he's really, really cool to have, and he's obviously the mascot of the channel. So... And then finally here we have, I guess, the second big guy of the tank, or the first, however you look at it. We have a snowflake eel here, and it's hard for me to get an angle on him. But basically, we have a tube that runs underneath the sand, so he can go from rock area to rock area and hide really easily. So he has a really, really big home. And this is him in the background right here, and he's about 1.5 feet long and can grow up to 2 feet. So the 75 is actually really, really good size tank for him, so I'm really not upgrading for him. It's really for the pufferfish. But they get along really, really well, surprisingly. They're all predators, so you can see why I can't have the snowflakes in here. But if you've watched this long, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Later.